What's going on, YouTube? Back playing with my Lincoln again. Here's where I'm at and a couple issues I've had. I got the suspension on, brake lines, fuel lines, all that shit. The bottom half of the motor mounts are in place. Those were not easy. Fuck those motor mounts. They were a pain in the ass, really. You think that the bolt goes straight through. It doesn't. It's got to be at an angle. And I thought I was at the right angle, and I messed with it. An hour later, I ended up dropping both lower control arms off just to be able to get the bolt the right angle to put them in. So that sucked. But they're in. And I've been drilling and tapping a lot of holes. I got the ABS lines on, the brake lines, fuel lines. A lot of the holes that were in the factory frame, before it got coated, I didn't transfer over and drill the holes beforehand because I didn't know where it was going to end up. The thickness of the plate, it just moves shit around a little bit, you know? So that's what I did now. I got this Harbor Freight tap set. I didn't buy it new. I bought it on Let Go or some shit. Because it was like 20 bucks. It was one of them deals where the guy used it once. And it works really well. I have tapped a lot of holes with the M8 tap. And it works really well. That, however, well, this thing works good. Works really good. But it's so big that you can't turn it around. This thing there, that thing works like shit. It does not hold that tap very well unless you clamp on it really hard with pliers. It really just, it does the job, but it sucks. Other than that, that tap set's good. I like it. That tap is still sharp. I can still do a lot more holes with it if I wanted to. These ABS wires here, I didn't measure where the hole is supposed to be. I didn't really care. I just know that I got a jack under it now. Suspension's at full droop. And I left the tie rod off. So it's just sitting here on its factory stop. And I just ran the wire over, found it where I got a little bit of slack still. And then I drilled the hole, put it in. That's that bracket. That's the way I did a lot of it. Still using factory clips wherever I can. This brake line went in really well. Really well. It pretty much contoured how it's supposed to. I am suspect to that. The way it sticks off the frame rail so much. I don't know if it's going to get in the body. We'll see. Everything else fell into place really nicely. Over the arches there, and this bottom is still flopping around because I have to have new brake lines made, longer ones. So I'll deal with that later. The fuel lines up front here on the engine side, they went in place really well. They're following the frame really well, except for back here. Back here is where it all changes. Because I don't have that suspension part on the old frame. Because it's a different style suspension. So they're not designed to go around it. I'm going to have to rebend it. I'm going to have to figure something out to get those to lay down flat. I really don't want to cut them and splice them. I'd rather just straighten out the bends if I can and then bend it where I need it. We'll see. We'll see. I'll figure something out. But the next step is I was going to put the motor and the tranny and all that shit in. And then it's pretty much ready for the body other than that. However, I forgot I got to run the hydraulic line inside the frame rail. I never showed you guys the holes I made for it. There's the one there in the back. That oval slot. I got one on this side too. And I put those there past the post, those posts sticking up is where the hydraulic rack's going to go in the trunk. That's going to hold all the weight, the batteries, pumps, all that shit. So I put it behind that so it wouldn't weaken the frame right there at all, because that's where a lot of strength is needed to hold up all that weight. Up here, I'm pretty proud of myself for this. I measured and cut that perfectly. That little oval slot right there. That's where it's going to come out. It's going to come over at an angle right to there. Right where that cylinder is, that's going to look really well. The other one on that side, you can see it right there. Tomorrow is when I'm going to start fishing the lines through. And that's not going to be fun at all. I decided to do that before I put the motor in and it back down on its own suspension, just in case I got to reach down up into the spring pocket and pull anything out. You know, pull the lines. So we'll see. I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be a very short, frustrating day because it's not going to be fun fishing it through here. Hopefully I only got to do it once. I bought real good Parker line. Parker, it's 3/8 line. It's good for 5,000 PSI, which is way more than adequate for what I need. And this shit it's good shit. It flexes real well. It's not too fat. It's got something called tough cover on it. It's pretty abrasion resistant. So it should live pretty well inside that frame rail. I'm hoping. We'll find out. And I had another idea that I'll talk about later when I start running it. Got my new power steering line. Got to put that on. Got my slip yoke finally from Black Magic. I know people have had problems with them lately, but they didn't fuck around. I ordered it and I had it in like a week and a half. I got to take that down to a drive shaft shop tomorrow or the next day, get that put in. And I really like it. It looks like a really quality piece. Look at them TIG welds. That is just fucking beautiful. For those of you that don't know what this does, it's going to go right about here in the drive line. And it just gives you about an extra 4 or 5 inches of travel in the drive shaft once that runs out. That spring is there just to make sure that it's always pushing on the shaft so it stays in the transmission. And all that is just extra slip. When that rear suspension goes up and down, the axle essentially swings in an arc towards the transmission. That's why you need that. When you start getting longer cylinders and you start doing shit, that's what that slip yoke's for. Oh, yeah, that's where I'm at. Tomorrow I'm going to run those lines, put the motor in, then figure out something with them fuel lines. All right, peace.